Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्ते तप्त कंचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। बोलो श्री राधे गोलोकानंद भगवान की जय।
जय
बोलो श्रीमद् भागवतम की
जय।
हरे कृष्णा।
हरे कृष्णा।
हरे कृष्णा। प्रेम सर कैसे हैं?
हरे कृष्णा, सब बढ़िया।
Yes. All right, so कल हम लोग we're reading about how Mother Ganges was brought to earth, right? How Bhagirath Maharaj, who's descendant of Sagar Maharaj, who's descendant of Mandata Maharaj, and then of course what we are reading is about Vivasvat Manu and descendants. And then we saw how Ganga Nadi came on earth with two conditions, right? One was, of course, Lord Shiva fulfilled that in taking it on his head, and then secondly, all the devotees and sadhus and a lot of pious souls they take bath in Ganga, so that uh, counterbalances all the sinful reactions of all the other materialistic conditioned souls, right? And that's what we are reading. Very nice, blissful reading yesterday. And as we read yesterday, it says, because Mother Ganges emanates from the lotus toe of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's where Mother Ganga comes from the Anant Charana, Anant Charan Amboj. Yeah, that's where the lotus feet of Anant, Lord Vishnu, that's where the Ganges emanates, and she is able to liberate one from material bondage because of that. Right? It comes from directly from Lord Vishnu's stores. Therefore, whatever is described here about her is not at all wonderful. It's not surprising, is what it's mentioned. Yeah. And then we actually also read the Shlok 15, where Sukdev Goswami is telling Parikshit Maharaj that great sages who are completely freed from material lusty desires devote their minds fully to the service of the Lord. Yeah? Such persons are liberated from material bondage without difficulty, and they become transcendentally situated, acquiring the spiritual quality of the Lord. This is the glory of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yeah. So that's what we are reading. We'll start reading Shlok 16. Anilji.
ऋतो भगीरथज्ञे तस्य नाभो परो भवत् सिन्धुद्वीपस्थ तस्तास्मदयौतायुस्तातोत भवत् ऋतुपर्णो नलसखो योऽश्वविद्या मयानलात् दत्त्वाक्ष हृदयं चास्मै सर्वकामस्तु तत्सुतम्. Bhagirath had a son named Shruta, whose son was Nabh. This son was different from the Nabh previously described. Nabha had a son named Sindhudvipa. From Sindhudvipa came Ayutayu, and from Ayutayu came Rituparna, who became a friend of Nalaraj. Rituparna taught Nalaraj the art of gambling, and Nalaraj gave Rituparna lessons in controlling and maintaining horses. The son of Rituparna was Sarvakam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, so this is how Sukdev Goswami ji is continuously describing the descendants of Vivasvat Manu. Yeah. Ajay?
ततः ततः सुदासस्त तत्र पुत्रो दमयन्ती प्रतिनृपः आहुर्मित्र सहम यम वै कल्माषांग क्वचित् वासिष्ठाशापाद रक्षो भूदन पत्यः स्वकर्मणा. Sarvakarma had a son named Sudasa, whose son known as Saudasa was the husband of Damayanti. Saudasa is sometimes known as Mitrasaha or Kamalspada. Because of his own misdeed, Mitrasaha was sonless and was cursed by Vasishtha to become a man-eater, Rakshas. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay.
श्रीराजोवाच किं निमित्तो गुरो शापः सौदास्य महात्मनः एतद्वेदितुच्छां कथयन्तां न रहो यदि. King Parishad said, O Sukdev Goswami, why did Vasishtha, the spiritual master of Saudasa, curse the great soul? I wish to know of this. If it is not a confidential matter, please describe it to me. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, so Sodas, right? And why was he cursed by Vasishtha Muni is what Sukdev Goswami is asking. Parikshit Maharaj is asking to Sukdev Goswami ji. Sri Shukvacha Sodaso Mrigyam Kichi Charana Raksho Jagan hai Mumoche Bhrataram Soad Gata Pratichikirsaya Sachintayanagam Ragya hai Sudarupo Dharo Grihe Guruve Bhoktu Kamaya Patva Ninne Naramishan. Sukdev Goswami said, once Sodas went to live in the forest, where he killed a man-eater Rakshas. Big God forgave and released the man-eater's brother. That brother, however, decided to take revenge. Thinking to harm the king, he became the cook at the king's house. One day, the king's spiritual master, Vasishtha Muni, was invited for dinner, and the Rakshas cook served him human flesh. Anilji?
परिवेक्षमाणं भगवान् विलोक्य भक्ष्यमञ्जसा राजानम् अशपथ क्रुद्धो रक्षो होमं भविष्यसि. While examining the food given to him, Vasishtha Muni, by his mystic power, could understand that it was unfit to eat, being the flesh of a human being. He was very angry at this and immediately cursed Saudas to become a man-eater. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, so that's why Vasishtha Muni, gave shrap to Sodas to become a man-eater, a Rakshas. Yeah. Ajay?
Rakshah kritam tad viditva chakre dwadash varshikam suasapyo anjali madaya gurum shaptum samudyatah varito madyanyapo rushati pad yurjaho dishah khamvarni sarvapashyav jivanam nipah. When Vasishtha understood that the human flesh had been served by the Rakshas, not by the king, he undertook 12 years of austerity to cleanse himself for having cursed the faultless king. Meanwhile, the king Saudasa took water and chanted the Sap mantra, preparing to curse Vasishtha, but his wife Madayanti forbade him to do so. Then the king saw that the 10 directions, the sky, and the surface of the globe were full of living entities everywhere. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So Vasishtha Muni understood, right, that he gave a shrap, but then so to cleanse himself, he went to go for 12 years of austerity. Yeah. But the Sodas became a man-eater. Prem?
Rakshasam bhavam apna ade kalma shatam gata vyavakale dadrishe vanoko dampati dvijo. Sodasa thus acquired the propensity of a man-eater and received on his leg a black spot, for which he was known as Kalmasapad. Once King Kalmasapad saw a Brahmana couple engaged in sexual intercourse in the forest. Hare Krishna.
Shubdhato jagrehe vipram tatpanyaha kritarthavat न भवान राक्षसः साक्षात् दीक्षा कुनाम महारते मदन्तेया पतिर्वीर ना धर्म कतुर्महसि देहि मे अपत्य कामाया अकृतार्थ पतिम द्विजम. Being influenced by the propensity of a Rakshas and being very hungry, King Sodash seized the Brahman. Then the poor woman, the Brahman's wife, said to the king, "O hero, you are not actually a man-eater. Rather, you are among the descendants of Maharaj Ikshvaku. Indeed, you are a great fighter, the husband of Madhyanti. You should not act irreligiously in this way. I desire to have a son. Please, therefore, return my husband who has not yet impregnated me." Hare Krishna, Tarun.
Hare Krishna. Deho yam manusyo rajan purushasya khilartana dadaha tasmad asya vadho veera sarvadhavad uchyate. O king, O hero, this human body is meant for universal benefits. If you kill this body untimely, you will kill all the benefits of human life. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, so the Brahman's wife is telling this to King Sodash, yeah, who has the shrap of becoming a man-eater Rakshas because of the story we read, right, by Vasishtha Muni. Nice purpose. So let's read this. Anilji.
Shri Nirottam Das Thakur has sung Hari Hari Bifale Janma Gona Enu Manushya Janma Paya Radha Krishna Na Bhaya Janiya Sunya Visa Khainu. The body of a human being is extremely valuable because in this body one can understand the instruction of Krishna and attain the ultimate destination of the living entity. The living entity is within the material world to fulfill the mission of going back home, back to Godhead. In the material world, one hankers for happiness, but because one does not know the ultimate destination, one changes bodies one after another. However, if one gets the opportunity to possess a human form of a body, in this body he can fulfill the four principles of Dharma, Arth, Kam, Moksha, and if one is properly regulated, he makes further progress after liberation to engage in the service of Radha and Krishna. This is the success of life, to stop the process of repeated birth and death and go back home, back to Godhead, man, mamiti, to be engaged in the service of Radha and Krishna. Therefore, taking a human body is meant for completing one's progress in life. Throughout human society, killing of a human being is taken very seriously. Hundreds and thousands of animals are killed in slaughterhouses, and no one cares about them. But the killing of even one human being is taken very seriously. Why? Because the human form of body is extremely important in executing the mission of life. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. So what important part mentioned here is that the body of a human being is extremely valuable because this is where you can actually understand the Krishna and attain the ultimate destination of the living entity, right? And that's the purpose of a human being, because we have been through so many births after births, like material entities, right? So many birth after birth in maybe different forms of body. But if one gets the opportunity to possess a human form of a body, then he can fulfill the principles, right? Bhakti yoga, and can engage in the service of Radha and Krishna. And that is the success of a human life. To stop the process of repeated birth and death and go back home, back to Godhead. And that can be done by engaging in the service of Radha and Krishna. That is what is mentioned. That's why the human life is so important, is what is being mentioned here. Rinaji, Hare Krishna.
हे ब्राह्मणो विद्वांस्तपः शीलगुणान्वितः आरिराध येषु ब्रह्म महापुरुष संज्ञितम् सर्वभूतात्मा भावेन भूतेष्वन्तर्हितं गुणैः. Here is a learned, highly qualified Brahmana engaged in performing austerity and eagerly desiring to worship the Supreme Lord, the Super Soul who lives within the core of the heart in all living entities. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So this is the Brahman's wife who is telling to King Sodash, right, that this Brahman is a highly qualified Brahman. So you should not eat him, right, is what she is requesting to King Sodash. And again, nice purport. Let's read this. Ajay.
The wife of the Brahmana did not regard her husband as a superficial Brahman, who was called a Brahmana merely because he was born of a Brahman family. Rather, this Brahman was actually qualified with the Brahminical symptoms. Yasya yal lakshanam proktam. The symptoms of Brahmana are stated in the Shastra. Samodamas tapa socham shantir arjavam ivacha kinam janmam vijnam astikyam brahma karma subhavjam. Peacefulness, self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, wisdom, knowledge, and religiousness. These are the qualities by which the Brahmanas work. PG 18.42. Not only must a Brahman be qualified, but must also be engaged in actual Brahminical activities. Simply to be qualified is not enough. One must engage in Brahmana's duty. The duty of the Brahmana was The duty of a Brahman is to know the Param Brahma, Krishna, Param Brahma, Param Dharma, Pavitram, Paramam Bhavam. Because this Brahman was actually qualified and was also engaged in the Brahminical activities, Brahma Karma, killing him would be a greatly sinful act, and the Brahmana's wife requested that he not be killed. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. So I think one interesting part here is described is like not because somebody is born in a Brahman family, right? That is not a qualification of a Brahman. A Brahman has a qualification which was given in the Shastras, right? It says all this: Samo, Damas, Tapaya, Socham, Shantir, Arjavam, Eoche. Yeah. Janmanam, Vijay. So it says peacefulness, self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, wisdom, knowledge, and religiousness. Those are the qualities of a Brahman, and not just where a person is born, right? And and of course, a Brahman then what happens is engages in Brahman's duty, which is the duty is to know Param Brahma Krishna, yeah, to get engaged in devotional service. That's what a Brahman is. And this Brahman was getting killed by the king Sodash, so Brahman's wife is requesting not to do that. Okay.
Soyam Brahmarshi Varsate Rajshi Prabha Rad Vibho Kat Maharti Dharmagya Vadam Pituri Vatmajan. Oh, my lord, you are completely aware of the religious principles. As a son never deserves to be killed by his father, here is a Brahmana who should be protected by the king, never killed. How does he deserve to be killed by a Rajshri like you? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So King Sudaji actually is supposed to protect the Brahman, but is killing. So that's what Brahman's wife is requesting. Tarun? Tarun?
1 second. The word Rajashri refers to a king who behaves like a rishi or sage. Such a king is also called Nardev because he is considered a representative of the Supreme Lord. Because his duty is to rule the kingdom to maintain Brahminical culture, he never desires to kill a Brahmana. Generally, a Brahmana, woman, child, old man or cow is never regarded as punishable. Thus, the wife of the Brahmana requested the king to refrain from this sinful act. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Sachin?
Hare Krishna. Tasya sadho apasya भ्रूणस्य ब्रह्मवादिनः कथं वधं यथा बभ्रो मन्यते सन्मतो भवान्. You are well known and worshipped in learned circles. How dare you kill this Brahmana, who is a saintly, sinless person, well versed in Vedic knowledge? Killing him would be like destroying the embryo within the womb or killing a cow. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anilji?
यद्यं क्रियते भक्ष्यस्तर्हि मा खाद पूर्वतः न जीवस्ये विना येन क्षणं च मृतकं यथा. Without my husband, I cannot live for a moment. If you want to eat my husband, it would be better to eat me first. For without my husband, I am as good as a dead body. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So Brahman's wife continues to request King Sodas not to do that. Ajay?
एवं करुण भाष्य विलपन्या अनाथवत व्याघ्र पशुमेवा खादत सौदासः शाप मोहितः. Being condemned by the curse of Vasishtha, King Saudasa devoured the Brahmana exactly as a tiger eats its prey. Even though the Brahmana's wife spoke so pitiably, Saudasa was unmoved by her lamentation. Hare Krishna.
Okay.
This is an example of destiny. King Saudasa was condemned by the curse of Vasishtha, and therefore, even though he was well qualified, he could not restrain himself from becoming a tiger like Rakshasa. For this was his destiny. Tal labhyate dukhavad antya aneta sukham. Bhagavat 1.5.18. As one is put into distress by destiny, destiny can also put one in a happy situation. Destiny is extremely strong, but one can change destiny if one comes to the platform Krishna consciousness. Karmani nirdhanti kintu cha bhakti bhajanam. Brahma Samhita 5.54. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So destiny is definitely very, very strong, right? As we all believe, but it can be changed, yeah, with the Krishna consciousness moment. Tarun?
Brahmani Viksha Didisham Purusadena Bhaksitam Sosanti Atmanam Urvisam Asapat Kupita Sati. When the chaste wife of the Brahmana saw that her husband was about to discharge semen, had been eaten by the man-eater, she was overwhelmed with grief and lamentation. Thus she angrily cursed the king. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Sachin?
यस्मान् मे भक्षितः पाप कामार्तायाः पतिस्त्वया तवापि मृत्युराधनादकृतप्रज्ञ दर्शितः. O foolish, sinful person, because you have eaten my husband when I was sexually inclined and desiring to have the seed of a child, I shall also see you die when you attempt to discharge semen in your wife. In other words, whenever you attempt to sexually unite with your wife, you shall die. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So the Brahman's wife curses the King Sodash also. Rinaji?
एवं मित्र सहम शप्त्वा पतिलोकपरायणा तदस्थेनि समिद्धे अग्नो प्रासे भतुर्गतिम गता. Thus the wife of the Brahmana cursed King Sudasa, known as Mitrasaha. Then, being inclined to go with her husband, she set fire to her husband's bones, fell into the fire herself, and went with him to the same destination. Hare Krishna.
Krishna. Anilji?
विशापो द्वादश शब्दान्ते मैं मिथुनाय समुद्यतः विज्ञाप्य ब्राह्मणी शापं महिष्यास निवारितः. After 12 years, when King Sodas was released from the curse by Vashisht, he wanted to have sexual intercourse with his wife. But the queen reminded him about the curse by the Brahmani, and thus he was checked from sexual intercourse. Hare Krishna.
Ajay?
अत ऊर्ध्व सत त्याज स्त्री सुखम कर्मणा प्रजाः वसिष्ठ सदनुज्ञातो मदयन्त्यां प्रजामधात्. After being thus instructed, the king gave up the future happiness of sexual intercourse and by destiny remained sonless. Later, with the king's permission, the great saint Vasisht begot a child in the womb of Madhyanti. Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
सावे सप्त समा गर्भ मविभ्रन वज व्यज्यायत ज्ञाने स्मन नोदरम तस्या सूक्ष्म कसनेत कथ्यते. Madhyanti bore a child within the womb for 7 years and did not give birth. Therefore, Vasisht struck her abdomen with a stone, and then the child was born. Consequently, the child was known as Ashmaka, the child born of a stone. Hare Krishna.
Tarun?
समखद बलि को जज्ञे यह स्त्री भी परिरक्षितः नारी कवच इत्युक्तो निक्षत्रे मूलकोस भवतः. From Ashmaka, Balika took birth. Because Balika was surrounded by women and was therefore saved from the anger of Parsurama, he was known as Nari Kavacha, one who is protected by women. When Parsuram vanquished all the Kshatriyas, Balika became the progenitor of more Kshatriyas. Therefore, he was known as Mulaka, the root of the Kshatriya dynasty. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. So the Balika, yeah, is the root of Kshatriyas, because at that time, based on the anger of Parshuram, Parshuram, we will read more about that. All the Kshatriyas were vanquished. Read more about that. Rinaji?
ततो दशरथस्तस्मात् पुत्र एडविडिस्ततः राजा विश्वसहो यस्य खड्वांग चक्रवर्त्यभूत. From Balika came a son named Dasharath. From Dasharath came a son named Advavidi, and from Advavidi came King Vishwasaha. The son of King Vishwasaha was the famous Maharaj Khatvanga. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, so again, we are reading about all the descendants, right, of the Vivasvat Manu. Sachin?
यो दैवे रथिर्तो दैत्यानविनवदित् युधि दुर्जयः मुहूर्तमया युर्ज्ञात्वैत्य स्वपुरं सन्दधे मनः. King Khatwanga was unconquerable in any fight. Requested by the demigods to join them in fighting the demons, he won victory, and the demigods, being very pleased, wanted to give him a benediction. The king inquired from them about the duration of his life and was informed that he had only one moment more. Thus, he immediately left his palace and went to his own residence, where he engaged his mind fully on the lotus feet of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So very interesting. Yeah, so King Khatwang, yeah, he was unconquerable. So he won all the fights, and Devatas gave a benediction, and he wanted to know how much life he had, and he did not have too much life left. So he immediately left the palace, yeah, and surrendered to Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's what is mentioned. Nice purport. Let's read this. Anilji?
The example of Maharaja Khatwanga in performing devotional service is brilliant. Maharaj Khatwanga engaged himself for only a moment in devotional service to the Lord, but he was promoted back to the Godhead. Therefore, if one practices devotional service from the beginning of his life, surely he will return home, back to Godhead, without a doubt. Asamasya. In Bhagavad Gita, the word asamasya is used to describe the devotee. There, the Lord himself gives this instruction. Maye asakta manah partha yogam yurjana mad asrayah asamasyaham samagram mam yatha jnanasya tacharno. Now here, O son of Pratha Arjun, how by practicing yoga in full consciousness of me, with mind attached to me, you can know me in full, free from doubt. Bhagavad Gita 7.1. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Ajay?
The Lord also instructs Janma Karma Chama Divyam Ivam Yogeti Tatvatah Tyaktva Deham Punarjanma Netimam Itiso Arjuna. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjun. Bhagavad Gita 4.9.
Tarun?
Therefore, from the very beginning of one's life, one should practice Bhakti Yoga, which increases one's attachment for Krishna. If one daily sees the deity in the temple, makes offerings by worshipping the deity, chants the holy name of the personality of Godhead, and preaches about the glorious activities of the Lord as much as possible, he thus becomes attached to Krishna. This attachment is called asakti. When one's mind is attached to Krishna, may asakta manaha, one can fulfill the mission of life in one human birth. If one misses this opportunity, one does not know where he is going, how long he will remain in the cycle of birth and death, and when he will again achieve the human form of life and the chance to return home back to Godhead. The most intelligent person, therefore, uses every moment of his life to render loving service to the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, so what is mentioned, right, which we know, we experience, right, that this human life is so important. That's what was mentioned earlier as well, right? And one should practice one's life in from the beginning. Practice the Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga is the attachment for Krishna. And what is being, even if one daily sees the deity in the temple, makes offerings, right, chants the holy name, preaches about the glorious activities, does those 9 different ways of devotional service, right, then one's mind can get attached to Krishna, and that means that can fulfill the mission of life in one human birth, right? Now, if this opportunity is missed, then we don't know what other birth we are going to get, what kind of body are we going to get, right? There are 8.4 million species. And based on that, we don't know when are you going to get this chance of getting the human form of life, right? So missing this human form of life, where the time is very limited, right, is so precious life that every moment should be utilized in service of the Lord, is what is mentioned here. Prem?
न मे ब्रह्म कुलात् प्राणा कुल देवतान चात्मजा न श्रियो न मही राज्यम न दाराश्वती वल्लभा. Maharaj Khatavagna thought, not even my life is dearer to me than the Brahminical culture and the Brahmanas, who are worshipped by my family. What then is to be said to my kingdom, land, wife, children, and opulence? Nothing is dearer to me than the Brahmanas. Hare Krishna.
You're asking me, right, Bhaiya?
Mhm.
Yes. न बाल्ये अपि मतिर्महाम्य धर्मे रमते क्वचित् नापश्यमुत्तमश्लोका दण्यत किञ्चन वस्त्वहम्. I was never attracted, even in my childhood, by insignificant things or irreligious principles. I did not find anything more substantial than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, Uttam Shloka. That's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is what Maharaj Khatwang is saying. Sachin?
दैवेह कामवरो तत्तो मह्यं त्रिभुवनेश्वरेयः न वृणे तमहं कामं भावनः. The demigods, directors of three worlds, wanted to give me whatever benediction I desire. I did not want their benedictions. However, because I am interested in Supreme Personality of Godhead, who created everything in this material world, I am more interested in the Supreme Personality of Godhead than in all material benedictions. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. So as we know, Maharaj Khatwang, all the devatas were very happy with him, and he wanted him to ask the benediction. But what he is saying is, so of course, Deve, who are three Bhuvaneshwar, right? They rule the whole three worlds. But he did not want anything because he was just interested in Bhut Bhavan Bhavana, right? More interested in the Supreme Personality of Godhead than all the material benedictions. It's a nice purport. Let's just read this. Anilji?
Devotee is always transcendently situated. Param Drastva Nivatate. One who has seen the Supreme Personality of Godhead is no longer interested in material sense enjoyment. Even such an exalted devotee as Dhruva Maharaj went to the forest for the sake of material benefit. But when he actually saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he refused to accept any material benediction. He said, Swamin Kratartho Smi Varam Na Yache. My dear Lord, I am fully satisfied with whatever you have given me or not given me. I have nothing to ask from you, for I am fully satisfied to be engaged in your service. This is the mentality of a pure devotee who does not want anything material or spiritual from the personality of Godhead. Our Krishna consciousness movement is therefore called Krishna Bhavana Mrata Sangh, the association of persons who are simply satisfied in thoughts of Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Sachin?
Being absorbed in thoughts of Krishna is neither expensive nor troublesome. Krishna says, Mana bhava mada bhakto mada yaji mama namaskuru. Engage your mind always in thinking of me, offer obeisances and worship me. Bhagavad Gita 9.34. anyone who can always think of Krishna without difficulties or obstacles. This is called Krishna Bhavamrita. One who is absorbed in Krishna Bhavanamrita has no material benefits to ask from Krishna. Instead, such a person prays to the Lord for benediction of being able to spread his glories all over the world. Mama Janmanishware Bhavatal Bhaktir Ahe Tuki Tvai. A Krishna conscious person does not even want to stop his cycle of birth and death. He simply prays, I may take birth as you like, but my only prayer is that I may be engaged in your service. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah. So I think we'll pause here and since we are talking about Lord Radhe Krishna, let's hear a nice kirtan. For 5 to 6 minutes.
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya
Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopala Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hare Govinda 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 Jaya Jaya
बोलो श्री राधे गोविंद भगवान की
Jai.
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 So nice kirtan. See you tomorrow, 9:30. Yeah.
Yes, Hare Krishna,
Hare
everyone.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.